raised on his family ranch northeast of Barnsdall. Throughout his 27-year career, Sheriff Perrier has gained extensive experience in handling a wide range of cases, from property crimes to homicides. Today, Sheriff Perrier will discuss the growing environmental and public safety impacts of runoff from unregulated marijuana grow operations in Osage County, including enforcement challenges and community collaboration needed to protect groundwater and rural ecosystems. Please join me in welcoming Sheriff Perrier.
Thank you very much. Again, my name is Bart Perrier, and every time I have an opportunity to do this, I'm going to share it. I am a lifelong Osage County resident and a member of the Osage Nation. And during my campaign, I was doing research, and I'm baffled still to this day that I'm the only Osage member that's ever been sheriff in this county. We're going to go over some topics, really the pollutions and the negative impact that what I'm seeing from the illegal marijuana grows. And when I say that, we're talking, or really want to focus on the Chinese marijuana grows, which is majority of the ones that are still in existence. The people that got into the marijuana business whenever 780, 781 was passed, and they started opening up and changing the marijuana layout in Oklahoma, there were a lot of people that had great intentions that jumped into this to have a business opportunity to make a dollar. Most of those people didn't survive a year, 2 years. The ones that are surviving are the ones that are operating under false pretense, under fraudulent ties. Realistically, all of them are Chinese nationals at this point. There are people in this country, in this state, in this county that don't belong here, and they are profiting through the black market, selling marijuana under the farce of them selling a medical product. I'm not here to talk about marijuana and the pros and cons of marijuana medically. That's not what I'm here to talk about. What I want to talk about is what they're doing and what we're seeing. And it's becoming very bold and very brazen, and it's really disturbing. I'll tell a story at the very end, if I don't forget, of the latest, just walking into a post office, what they're doing. So, water, I'm passionate about. I'm on Osage Rural Water 5 Water Board. I've been on that since 2016. Our water system runs north of Barnsdall. It's kind of one of those, if you draw the short straw, you get on systems like this, and you're stuck there for life on helping operate them. We buy our sources from the city of Barnsdall, which the mayor's here, and also Pawhuska. We buy multiple water sources, and I know the challenges just in day-to-day water challenges. So I know how precious this water resource is. Most people don't understand that. That's what's disturbing, especially with the youth. But back on the marijuana. Clean water is critical to community health and stability. I mean, it's something you turn the water faucet on and you let it run on the ground. We don't think twice about it. As a kid, we ran through sprinklers. I mean, I think of the millions and millions and millions of gallons of water that we waste every day watering our grass. And when you really start calculating how precious that is, it's disturbing, from the way I look at it. But the water contamination quickly becomes public safety issues. And that's where it falls into the realm of law enforcement. When it becomes a public safety issue, contamination's real, and we're seeing this. We're seeing this all the time. Law enforcement has to work as protectors and as responders. So when there's a problem, we're the ones that it's thrusted into every category, if you like it or not. The growing, no pun intended, the growing problem of illegal marijuana grows. I kind of talked about it. I calculated when I first came into office, between dispensaries and grows, there was 36 in this county. We are a large county, but that's a lot of dispensaries and grows. And the dispensaries are irrelevant to this topic, but the grows.
in my route to travel every day for work, I pass two of them. One out there by my house and one north of Barnsdall. We've been involved in investigating and taking down, trying to push back. That's what I'm going to say. Instead of raids and task force, we're pushing back on what they're doing and work with the state, OMMA, AG's office, every state-tied entity that's surrounded around marijuana. We are helping them with the sheriff's office, and that's why it really just baffled me, because we get in on our first raid, if you will, and there's so much red tape because this is legal until it's not legal. The way they're doing it is illegal in certain aspects. There's different areas they're doing things wrong, and so I had a real eye-opening experience just a few months ago in our first one that we helped the state with. And I'll get into what that is. So this actually is one of the grows that we've dealt with. Unbelievable experience seeing what's going on behind the scenes. For instance, I'm going to get off topic here just real quick, but this just baffles me. There is no way around anything other than this is an Asian illegal Chinese operated marijuana grow. Right? When you look at the breaker box, it's all in, has duct tape on it with Chinese numbers on it. You know, they don't speak English. They don't really deal with the environment or the public. I mean, they stay on this ground, and what got us in here originally was illegal fishing. You know, they're baiting up and catching everything that swims in the creek, and they're eating it, and you know, they don't really care about our resources. Doesn't matter if it's wildlife, water, environment, it doesn't matter. They're here to make a dollar. These are 3 of 6. I didn't have the other pictures, I'd have the other 6 up. And you know, this is who we're dealing with. They don't speak English. They have state of New York IDs. They're illegal aliens, all right? They're here, they're planted in our communities by a bigger player, and they're here to get him a product. And they don't really care what happens. They don't go by our rules. And the big thing that gets scary is what we're getting ready to get into is the chemical pesticides that they're bringing in that are illegal. I mean, there's chemicals, you want to talk about, you know, cancerous carcinogenic items. I mean, there's things on here. One, you can't read what's in it because it's in Chinese, all right? But whenever you start seeing these pesticide labels and containers laying around, laying on the banks of our creeks and in our waterways, I got a real problem with that. And let's just face it, if the United States is banning it, it's got to be pretty bad, all right? Because it seems like we support everything and that has a fine line of a hazard around it. This is one of the products. You tell me what that is. First person that can read that to me, I'll give you $100. Since the legalization of the marijuana, of the grows, these have been a problem, and they pushed back at first, but now the government has recognized, the state has recognized that they made a mistake. They won't admit it, but they recognize it. That this should have never been handled the way it's been handled, and now we're here to clean it up. The pushback's getting difficult, but the environmental aspect of it is where I think we have the strongest foothold. Environmentally, this is banned. They can't be here. What they're doing to our environment, we can fight, push, and we have to fight and push. This container here, we retrieved, I'll show you a pile here in a minute, ultimately out of the creek. That creek would be Bird Creek, if you want to talk about that, which is the main water reservoir running through our county. These are dump sites on their at their grow locations, and this isn't just one. All of them have this. They don't hire sanitation department to come out and haul off their trash. All right, these guys are isolated in their compound, if you will, and they live, work, and operate 100% inside this compound. So they don't care what's happening in the environment at all. This is the root of all of the problems, especially here in Osage County. Our elevation is hilly, so there's a waterway everywhere you look. All right. Now, I mean, this is an aerial view, so you can't see your terrain. You see a fairly large water reservoir off to the side, which obviously is going to be below these grow houses. All these illegal toxins, all these parasite, all these chemicals that they're treating their marijuana with, and is running into this, which ultimately runs into our waterway. The disturbing part, one of these, this is not the photo, but one of the grows in question off of Highway 11 is above Lake Waxoma's water reservoir. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what's going to happen at some point. You know, contaminations are running into our main water source. The main water source I drink. And that's disturbing. And they don't care. This grow here was from 2022, where the OBN seized over 100,000 plants and thousands of pounds of marijuana from the agency. The ones that we were in on, we didn't take half as much as what I wanted to take. If it was a plant, I wanted to take it, which I'm kind of black and white like that, you know. But they have their ear notched. Well, this one's legal. Well, this one's not. Well, this one they didn't do this right, so we can take that. You know, it's a joke that they've got to figure out, and we're the ones sitting back dealing with it right now. Another trash site. You know, illegal dumps, I mean, these are the root of, I think, all of the problems, is the way they handle their byproduct, their chemical containers, their toxins, their poisons. And I want to make it clear, these are not internet grab pictures. These are actual photos within this county, other than the aerial photo I just showed you. So, there's two issues. One, your marijuana grow. Two, just your dumping issues that we have in this world. The trash dumping, illegal trash dump sites, and are out of control. We have a deputy, this is a part-time deputy. He works 20 hours a week on a DEQ grant, and all he does is go out and work environmental sites like this. First time I seen this picture, he told me, he said, I see 7 violations right now. You know, and he can dig deep into the layers of the enforcement environmentally, and that's what I think we have to do. We have to work harder at enforcing that, because realistically, a lot of people are still kind of in the old grandfathered mindset, where, well, we always had a dump on the place, and it's not that big a deal, and we burn it every 2 years. You know, I grew up on an environment like that, where we had our own little dump and whatever else. Well, Grandpa's trash from 4 generations ago is different than what our trash is now. It's not the same. You know, everything we have is toxic. You know, it's bad for the environment. The runoff aspect is unbelievable. So ultimately, you know, pollution is gradual but destructive. And the truth to this is, you don't know there's a problem until there's a big problem. All right, whenever you start talking about water pollution, you don't really know there's a problem until people are dying, people are going to the hospital, sustaining injuries that they can't figure out, when we start falling back to the water source or the source of the toxin. And that's really the frightening side of this. You know, each illegal site weakens our water ecosystem. I mean, every one of those I showed you is weakening our water ecosystem in our county here. You know, let's just look at Bird Creek. You know, runs through the entire county. It's not the barn stall we pull off of Lake Waxoma. So it's Bird Creek doesn't run through it. But every water source, because we receive all of our water from surface water. You know, I mean, we're not being fed, you know, very few. I know you have a water well, but very few people in this room operate off water wells. And you probably already went down this road. You know you really can't drill a water well. You can try, you're going to end up getting salt water. So we've, you know, lost that resource. So surface water is all we have to work with. And, you know, the pollution of it is out of control, and it's really just being ignored. You know, environmental crimes must be treated as a serious offense. And I think so many people, if you was to say that on the street, they're going to be like, well, all the problems we have in this world, you're going to want to talk about environmental crimes, you know, oh, let's go at you, go on. But this is truly our kids' the future's biggest problem, what we're going to leave them. These are the agencies we work with in collaboration with DEQ, OBNDD, which is Oklahoma Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs, the EPA, and tribal authorities. We have a great working relationship, the Sheriff's Office with Osage Nation, and I love that. And I think that we can, in this county, accomplish so many more things than most places, because I don't feel like there's a bureaucratic struggle. There has been a lot in the past. I don't feel like that's anymore. And we have got to put our minds together and tackle everything together in battle, because it's affecting all of us. You know, my kids, your kids, you know, that's the future, and we're not giving them much to work with. This is the biggest problem, the laws, the enforcement of, and the lack of accountability. I made a career dealing with the laws. I don't like hardly any of them, all right? But it's my job to enforce them. When people start talking about this and that, well, you know, I don't really love every loophole out there either, you know, but our job is to enforce it. Our court system has recognized, the district attorney's office and the judges have, over the years, became more realistic with environmental issues. Deputy McAllister, the environmental deputy, has had a lot of success in this county. Everything from illegal trash dumpings to the toxic, contaminations. I mean, he's enforced and he's operated. And at first, it took a while for us to get the ear of the court, even of the DA. But now, you know, they're recognizing, and that's what it really takes. A true team effort for us all to be on the same page, pushing and fighting the same fight. And you know, I have faith in our court system. I say that tongue in cheek sometimes, but at least I know when I call the judge and I call the DA and say, this is a problem, we have to address this. They listen and we address it. I'm not saying that they all are handled properly 100% of the time, but it gets addressed. This is ultimately all it comes down to: protect, prevent, and preserve. We have to protect what we have, prevent toxins, and preserve our water source. 25 years ago, I would not probably stood up here and talked about how valuable our water is, because I was just as ignorant as everybody else about water falling from the sky. It's here, it's an abundance. In the spring we have too much. I mean, come on, it's water. It's one of our most precious resources, and we are doing everything we can as mankind to ruin it. So, it's disturbing. What I'd like for you to leave here with is, those of you all who live here in this county, if you have trash dump sites, if you see trash dump sites, if you live near a marijuana grow and you see anything you feel is disturbing, I want you to call us and report it, because we will act upon it. It is a problem. We got to address it. So we want to stick our head in the sand like an ostrich and go on, not intentionally at least. So that leads us to, I hate to say questions, because every one of us has a million questions. So go ahead and open up to some questions.
Hopefully we found the mic without the feedback. We got it.
I didn't know any of this till just now. Okay, it said that these illegal grows are on somebody else's land, but then how come you can't like go in and, you know, with the landowner and say, listen, this is you can't have these people doing this, you know?
Because of the mighty dollar. Somebody is
That's what it
leasing,
is.
leasing, purchasing, a lot of these, they're shell companies, if you will. You've got 3 or 4 people, Chinese nationals, that own and operate nearly every marijuana grow here. All right, so they're going through the bureaucratic hoops, if you will, of making it a business. But what they're operating, they make more product than they can feasibly sell. All right, that's the thing that we don't understand. There's thousands of grows in this state, and I think 16 is what they say that they need to truly serve the needs of marijuana dispensaries. Now think about that. So where's all this other marijuana going? It's going through the black market. Now all we're doing is allowing someone to come into our country, our state, our county, our communities, and grow marijuana under an umbrella of legal. They're doing it illegal, and they're shipping it out. I walked into the post office in Barnsdall, where I receive my mail every day. I walk in, and there's a vehicle parked illegally, sideways, out front, California plates, with an Asian male driver, and African American passenger. I'm not stereotyping, I'm just talking about we're in Barnsdall, okay? Everyone kind of stands out. I follow this subject into the post office, and he's carrying 2 large boxes, and I go, wow, that's strong. I'm just standing there because it's Friday and I'm ready to go home, okay? And the postmaster's just staring at me, looking down, doing what she's doing, looking back at me, and I'm like, yeah, I feel about as awkward as you feel right now, you know? So I'm kind of trying to pay attention, but mind my own business, and he leaves, and she just looks at me, and I said, is that weed? She goes, yep. So I walk up and look at it, so it's sitting on the counter, and it's being shipped to South Carolina. That's illegal. Well, by God, the sheriff of this county, right? We're going to do something about this. I get on the phone, start making phone calls. I've yet to get one person from the state say that they can do one thing about it. That's exactly right. What? This is illegal. Well, OBN says to do this. Talk to OMMA, Oklahoma Medical Marijuana. Talk to them. Oh, let's talk to AG. Oh, let's do this. So finally I said, all right, guys, this isn't rocket science. I have that address in South Carolina. It's illegal for them to receive this package. So I called that town and said, hey, about 5 days, there's going to be a package showed at this house. Well, let's tip off the postmaster. I mean, come on, guys. This isn't that hard. No one really wants to do anything because it's legal until it's illegal. Does that make sense? Medical marijuana is legal, yes. But everything they're doing with it outside of that medical loophole is illegal. And they're running wild doing it.
Thank you, Bart. I'm Hunter Riddickle. I grew up in Barnsdall too, in, north of Barnsdall there.
Yes, sir.
And you know, President Trump's always trying to get everybody out of the country, right? It's illegals. And is there any way we can get these guys, you know, whoever these Chinese people, if they're illegal in any way, and I know we'd have to go through the state of Oklahoma. I've even heard that from the state government. If you got a problem, you got to go to the source, you know, the root source, and maybe they're the source. Is there any way we could just ban them from Oklahoma?
Great question. We'll go back to that picture of the New York state IDs. Basically, if you have a heartbeat, you can get an ID in New York. That's all it takes.
all right? So they get their driver's license, and they come to Oklahoma. So we have to take away these small battles, Mr. Abel. One small battle was me tipping off South Carolina. Hey, we may have won that little battle. I still lost that they're mailing it. We're doing nothing about it. These 6 people got deported. All right, they're no longer in the country. You know what that means? You know what that means? It means that grove was shut down for about 3 days until that Chinese national that's running the show has 6 more here. So I'm fairly stubborn. We're not going to stop. We're going to hit them again until they get tired and they move out. My goal is to rid the county of illegal marijuana grows. You know, if you're going to do this legally and the state says you're doing it right, then I'm not here to ruin someone's business. I don't love it, but we're after the Chinese nationals that are here, bringing their culture, bringing their ways, bringing their toxins to make money. You know, that evil dollar is what this is all about. So, I think to answer your question, yes, every time we run into them, they're going to be deported and they're going to be gone. They need to be someone else's problem. They don't need to be our problem. Yes, ma'am.
With all of the illegal grows going on in our county and the state, is our county experiencing it more so than others?
I'm going to say possibly, just because we're 2,300 square miles. All right, we're size 2, we're 2.5 sizes of an average county. Average county is 800 square miles. So we have more land for them to come in and squat on and do this. And the state's not real excited. And I'm not throwing rocks at anybody in the state. I'm just speaking the truth. They're not real excited to jump up and do much about it because we have made this legal until it's illegal. Well, it's illegal very quick, but we still are operating under the umbrella of it being legal. When we hit this grow, they had an attorney with us. That's an oxymoron in my business. All right, attorneys with us, what the world? So he's telling us what we can and can't do. Oh, nope, that looks like that's going to be legal because it has whatever code. They actually handled this right. All of these are illegal. It's Chinese national here operating, selling all of it illegally, but it's that umbrella that they're operating under that's somewhat right. So I think we need to turn around and, we need to, 780, 781 was a bad move, all right? And we're seeing it, we're fighting it every day. I think we need to take a real look at what's happening. And the state saw dollar signs when this came about, and that greedy dollar's hurting us right now. It's hurting the state. They realize it. Realistically, they don't know what to do. That's what I'm getting. They don't know what to do. Yes.
So, wait, am I on?
There you go,
Hello?
Okay, sorry guys.
Okay, so you were talking about how some of those chemicals are also getting into our water, but if some of the illegal grows are using those chemicals on the plants, would people that consume any form, is that going to harm them as well?
What do you think? Absolutely, because they're treating these plants, and these are the healthiest plants I've ever seen in my life. Truly. The marijuana they're growing is unbelievable, and the marijuana we're dealing with nowadays is unbelievable. There's a few people in this room, I'm sure, that knows what marijuana was like 20 years ago, 30 years ago. They used to call it bunkweed. If it was 6% THC, you really was doing something. This is 100, 200%. The THC that's being derived from this is unbelievable, and it's creating marijuana psychosis. All right, if you all start paying attention, our mental health crisis we're battling right now in this state is spearheaded by what we're talking about right here.
I'm not here to talk about marijuana. I'm starting to get out of my lane here a little bit. But to answer your question, what do you think? They're putting these pesticides. It's illegal in this country. And we pretty much legalize anything in this country. So for it to be illegal in this country, it's got to be some bad stuff. And they're treating every plant with it. Plus the runoff of it running into our environment and whatever else. And they're dumping a lot of water on these plants. And the water runs downhill. So it's not if they're contaminating, it's how much. And and I would be really concerned of some of the product that you're actually receiving. Yes, ma'am.
So thanks for being here, Sheriff. We're glad you're here and telling us about this. 2 questions. One of them is, so these LLCs or corporations are Chinese companies that are actually buying property here in the Osage Reservation. They're property owners.
Yes.
Okay. And then
Which I don't understand, first off.
I don't understand.
How can you be not from this country and buy land in our state?
Because you can.
I don't understand that.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
But you can't. So my second question is about the runoff violation, and I guess twofold. Are most of these operations working off well? Do they have rural water? And then the runoff, is that what you guys actually are charging them with? Is the illegal runoff, or how are these people getting charged for environmental issues, or are they?
The second part there, they're not. All right, they're going after them. How do you charge an illegal alien that we deported? First off, either we got to keep them here and we charge them, or they go back. So the deportation gets them off the hook. The owner then gets the citations and gets that aspect of it. The level of contamination is probably going to be really the root of how bad this is going to be. Them possessing and having possession of illegal chemicals is citations and charges of itself. So it starts there, then it rolls through criminal and administrative, because now we got OMMA that comes in, oversees, regulates everything that's going on here. So they have their administrative fines, so they start citing them for what they're doing wrong. So there's many things that's being hit, but none of it's success. All right, the only success is we go in and eradicate them of every plant they have and shut them down. If they're here to do this legally and properly and like a legitimate business, I support that. I mean, if that's what the law says, they can do it. Like I said, I don't love all the laws. My job is to enforce. So if they're doing it right, then do it right. These guys aren't doing it right. They're operating, to a beat of their own drum, and we're allowing it. And we're allowing it because we really don't know what to do. We've opened this door up and let this floodgate of corruption come in the spirit of marijuana.
So back to the land where these places are. So do Chinese people own the land, or people in our local people here have leased the land out, or who is the actual landowner? Maybe I kind of missed that one.
Both. I mean, there are people that's going to lease land for $10,000 a month. They're going to pay them. I mean, they'll pay large figures because they're making billions on us. These places, I've heard figures of their electric bill once a month being $16,000 to $18,000 a month. Back to the water source.
And that's what my next
Yes.
question. Where are they getting their water?
Yes, this specific one here is the same one I purchased my water from. It's actually Osage Rural Water 18, Pawhuska Water is where this here's coming from.
And
that
so
water
they
runs
use
right
a lot.
by.
So their water bill is probably really, really high.
They're a good customer, I guarantee you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my next question, back to those toxic things that they're putting on there, and it's all in the Chinese writing. And I know you're saying, this is illegal here. Well, surely, and this may sound dumb, but I'm just curious, does anybody ever get somebody that knows Chinese and read that to find out what chemicals are actually in that, to say, now you've got, whatever that, Agent Orange, I'm just making that up. This is Agent Orange in there that we're getting in our water stream, or whatever some of that chemicals that they've taken off that we used to spray on the lands here way back in the day.
I have
To
not-
I mean, I'm not saying that's your job, but I'm just curious. Somebody ought to be able to tell us what that is.
Right, and I'm sure they can, because that's why it's illegal. They know what's in it, it's bad, so it's bad enough that we don't want it here. So, yes, someone knows what that product is, knows what the toxins are, knows the contaminants, the downside to it, which is why it's illegal,
Right. Well, the last question that I have, and doesn't concern our county, but through a conversation that I had over a year ago with a very reliable person, was saying how bad that these Chinese places were over in Pawnee County. Can you speak to that? I know we're talking about Osage County. Do you think it's worse in Pawnee County or worse in our county?
I'm sure it's bad. Pawnee County any rural county is going to be battling this because there's less enforcement, there's less resistance, and that's why they target us, ultimately. Yes, ma'am.
The line, you got
Sorry.
the line.
Hi, I'm just wondering, a colleague of mine wrote about these illegal grow farms for ProPublica and Frontier, and they reported on they reported on Pawnee County, and the reporter and the other reporters from ProPublica, they were able to track calls to the local law enforcement of people who had complained about the unsafe living and working conditions at these illegal grow farms. And I wonder if your office could investigate some human trafficking or the illegal working conditions on those farms as a way to shut them down.
Great question, great point. It is human trafficking of a version. These people are sent here to do this. They're under the control of one person. They're under the rule of whoever owns this and is actually feeding them and supplying them. These people don't leave. They don't really come to town. They live out there. They survive on the environment. Like I said, what got us in there was illegal fish traps in the creek. That was the foothold that got us in here to start with. Then we get in and you start seeing everything else. Human trafficking, you just mentioned, that's one of the biggest problems that people are just now starting to comprehend what it means, and this is a version of that. When people are living here without the means of survival elsewhere, is what that comes down to, where they're under the control of one. And I guarantee you they've got people lined up to come in here to work. Because living in rural Barnsdall on a compound, eating all the gar you can eat out of the creek, doesn't sound like it's very flattering for us, but realistically, where they come from, this is probably better living. But then the work environment, these toxins, these chemicals, they're in these buildings that are row after row after row of plants that go through the growth cycle. I guarantee you there's a dozen of these rooms, maybe 20, of different sizes and whatever else. And the work environment, lack of clean air. It's unlike anything I ever saw. I'm sure, to be honest.
All right, we have another question over here.
Yes.
Sheriff, I'm also glad that you're here.
We'll get you here in a second.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And what's been on my mind, it's probably been for the last 3 years, because I've been hearing about all these grow facilities and not enough dispensaries to do that. And it's part of it is another enforcement. And I did hear you say about the USPS. But I was wondering, if there's such a high rate of growth out there, how are they transporting all of this product? And is that another way of enforcement?
Yes, it is. They're using box vans, and they're pulling out in the middle of the night. They're transporting them as you transport any product. And back to that umbrella that they're operating under, whenever law enforcement gets involved in it, there's that part of this that's legal until you prove it's illegal. those of you all, several years ago, probably at the very beginning of the hemp weed turnaround of legalization, there was a 18-wheeler here in Pawhuska that got stopped, if you all remember. No one knew what to do with it, including our court systems.
Didn't it stay parked for several?
It was set for years at the sheriff's office with rotting hemp in the trailer because they didn't know what to do with it, you know? And I've yet to hear if it was legal or illegal, you know? That's the problem we're battling with is it's not like we're talking about this is a level of a meth lab. You know, that's 100% illegal. We can eradicate it. We can use every resource. We can, you know, call in everybody and do whatever and take them out. Well, there's that legal farce that we're working with, you know, and I mean to the point that state agencies send in agents with us with attorneys to walk around and talk about what we can and can't do. I mean, I never thought I'd say that in my career, you know, but that's where we're at. So I don't know if that really answered your question.
Hi, so the reaction to, you know, learning about it and the scope of it, I think, you know, some of us from what we're hearing have heard like little chatter of it, but really haven't seen any coverage of it. Like, we don't really have information about it. It just seems like something that's floating under the radar, but not a dig on your work,
No.
you know. But how do we elevate the coverage and scope so people understand what's happening?
The problem is it's not newsworthy. It's not newsworthy. This problem's everywhere. No one knows how to handle it. No one knows how to address it. And everyone tiptoes around it. You know, bottom line is, I think at the local level, we have to take care of, I said this in my campaign. What happens outside of this state is outside of my control. What happens outside of this county is outside of my control. We can take care of our backyard. Eradicate these when they surface, push them out. Make it where it's not a welcoming location for them to come and set up shop. And that's all that I think we can do, and I think if everyone takes that stance, at the local level, pushing up to the state level, you know, we can push these out. But when you start talking to legislators about this, I mean, no one really has an answer. Everyone kind of sits here and tiptoes around and goes, it's a mess, isn't it? Yes, it is a mess.
Hi, I just wanted to say that that there has been coverage of this issue. If you go to readfrontier.org, my esteemed colleague Clifton Adcock, who's not here right now, he and the reporters from ProPublica covered this issue, not necessarily here in Osage County, but the issue of illegal grow farms and like how it's affecting the environment, and mostly how people are being trafficked to work here.
I apologize. When I say it's not newsworthy, I'm talking about Channel 6, local news, 6 o'clock. You know, they've got a report on the killings of the day, the problems at the state level. I mean, it's the same thing, you know. So this really doesn't catch that foothold. I think if you have someone that truly goes in and investigates and makes it a point, we can turn more heads and make more people pay attention.
And, you know, also if you know, part of our job in the media, you know, we do our best to cover these issues, and we would love it, you know, if we could get a, you know, maybe, you know, get some more information from your office so that we could go out and do some investigating on these issues. So, thank you.
I think ultimately what it comes down to is knowledge. The public has to be educated on what the problem is. You all have the loudest voice in this state, in this county, in this community. There's people that you vote in every year to do something. Get their attention. Enough's enough. We gotta do something. There's no excuse for having Chinese nationals in our community running questionable operations, period. There's no excuse.
I had a question to piggyback off of Allison's comment as far as, I know that different law enforcement agencies, organizations will kind of generate press releases asking for news coverage and asking for more awareness on certain issues. Have you done something like that or ever considered something like that? Because this is the first time that I've heard about this. I know obviously we are living in an age of information overload and there's a lot of stuff to pay attention to, but is that something that you have explored and didn't work?
When we address these, this is the weird part, all right? We're second fiddle, third fiddle to the operation. Only the state has the ability to come in, OMMA, OPN, AG's office, to come in and enforce these, because we forget about the umbrella of this is legal. That's the biggest problem. It's legal, they have the right to do it. No, they have the right to do it legally. They're not doing it legally. We're splitting hairs. It takes a state agency that has the ability to come in here and truly identify what that is, and at that point, it's their press release, it's their rodeo, if you will.
Does that cause tension between you two? Like with you and the other entities?
Very much. Very much. And I mean, I'm a team player, we're gonna get along, but gosh, dang it, whenever you're sitting back saying, wait, what? That's all we're doing? What about this? Oh no, you don't understand, Sheriff, this here. No, you're right, I don't understand.
Any other questions from the audience?
Yes, ma'am.
I would just like to say we appreciate this information. Maybe we've heard a little bit here and a little bit there.
But I think the more of us that hear about this, I mean, but still, at the end of the day, what you just said to us is kind of disheartening.
It is disheartening.
So,
I probably went way too long. The only other thing I want to talk about is the data centers. I'm almost obsessed with trying to figure out what in the world is going on, but I know nobody that I've had an intelligent conversation with is a supporter of the data centers. So we have to protect our backyard, all right? I'll say it over and over and over. And this is another one that we got to protect our backyard. I think, I think between the Osage Nation and Osage County, we can say you're not welcome. No, Sand Springs, we don't want you annexed. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Have you seen the new conditional permit use sign that's up on top of Van Hill? Do you know what that is for?
I do not. Up on top, on J-Vine?
No, on right as you get to the top of Van Hill before the Wilco turnoff, right across from that big sign that says pole barn.
Yes.
No, it's not.
Johnny, do you know what this is?
It's where the airplane was, Bart.
Yeah, where the airplane was. There is a new
It's
sign.
this side of Julie White's. There's a big yellow sign. I sent Wayne up there a while ago to read it, but I don't know if he's gotten back with me yet. I haven't heard.
I was just curious if you knew what that conditional use permit was for.
No.
Is it a new data center? And when's that hearing?
That's a great question. I mean, I'm going to drive out there and see what it is. I haven't seen it. I don't know. I just.
Wayne thought it was another tower.
Another what?
Wayne thought it was another tower when I talked to him about it this morning,
Okay.
but I just saw it this morning when she mentioned it too. So I don't, it's standing up, it's right in front of that tower by on Danny Allred. It's right between there and where Julie White is and where the airplane was.
Okay.
And it's about this tall and it's yellow.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the data centers, the only one I'm aware of is the one they're pushing outside of Sand Springs. And nobody out there wants this. And I understand the attraction, the low value land, I mean, relatively affordable for a company to come in and buy and swoop up and, talk to a politician in the community. Oh, we'll make you, this is for jobs. We'll employ X amount of people to turn into be 5. They promise the moon and it never comes through. I'm greatly concerned with that. I'm greatly concerned with this. All right, there's a lot that we have to be concerned about around here that's happening underneath our noses. And, I think legislatively we got to talk to people.
Yes.
So that's the only way things change at the state level. And I would love to see the Osage Nation get involved to form an opinion on this data center debacle. So Probably talked enough.
Any other questions?
Well, thank you, Sheriff Perrier, for sharing your wisdom with us today and for your service.
Yeah.